Okay, we want to see progress. I get that. You're investing in yourself. You are sacrificing. You're waking up early. You're finding sitters to go work out at the gym. You're right. We're not eating the cookies that we want to eat. So when that scale doesn't show a lower number or sometimes even go up, it is very frustrating. That's when you ask your coach, what is going on, right? Why is it still going up? Please tell me the plan is working. And then the coach says, oh yeah, trust the process. And you're like, what? So it's your body composition changing, right? Body fat pounds go down, muscle pounds can go up. You just don't see that happening. So what I would suggest to clients, because a lot of people have a very, very strong connection with that scale. Even though you can see body measurements changing, you can see pictures that you're changing. If that scale doesn't change, you just can't wrap your brain around that. Like you want that number to go down. And I know sometimes it even goes up and it's like, what is this? So there's two types of people. If you struggle with that, right, I have to see the scale going down just because of that relationship. Or if you're like myself to where I just love to know what's going on in the body, I suggest getting a body scan. So I go to Dexa scan. This is what the paper looks like. There are many, many pages. It gives you a ton of information. So I want to share why this is important and can kind of solve both those problems. Again, if you are struggling with the scale, this is going to give you those exact amount of pounds of each of those and the percents, but some of these numbers are more important than others, and I want to explain which ones you want to watch for. And then if you're like me, I just like to see results, right? I've spent the last couple of years losing the body fat. Now I'm just at the point of I want to see on here, because it breaks it down by limb, how much more muscle I put on each leg, right? It's just fun to see what's happening in my body. So I get these every couple months. On here, there's a couple things it shows. First though, I like these because it gives us a healthier, more realistic expectation of what our goal should be. Because way too often I get women that say, I want to look like her. I want this body type. I want your body type. I want to do this. And you have to realize that's not your body. And so we are hard enough on ourselves. We don't like our bodies for way too many reasons, right? Don't add any more. So please have the realistic expectation that you aren't going to look like somebody else. Not even like your sister. There are 3 different body types, and everyone pretty much generally fits in these. There's endomorph, mesomorph, and ectomorph. We all have some of these traits, and they determine how fast our metabolism is, if we burn higher carbs or fats, what works best for our body. Some of these people think about losing fat, and they do. We all know people like that. Some that work so hard and lose half a pound, and within 1 or 2 days that aren't great, all of it's back on. They just cannot lose body fat to save their life. And you've got mesomorphs that are kind of in the middle, easier to put on muscle for them, right? We generally fit in one of these 3 categories. So if you are struggling to lose every last bit of body fat, right? I know sometimes it's hard to hear, but you have to recognize that you might not ever lose that. It's not your body type, right? So you can either thank your parents or hate your parents for whatever genetics they gave you, but you just need to understand that you might not look like the girl next to you, and that's okay because you want your healthiest and strongest version. And it's so freeing when you can accept that my body won't ever look like that, no matter how hard I try. The example quickly that I give is I have horrible hair. I think it's so unmanageable, super thick and curly, very, very coarse. It's hard to curl. It doesn't hold curl very well. It's just not what I would love, right? I'm not complaining. It's just what it is. So when I go to the hairstylist and I get my hair done, I'm always telling her that girl's is amazing. It's thin and it has the beautiful, sexy, loose waves, and she can toss it up and back down. It just works. And can you do whatever you did to that girl's hair? And she looks at me and says, you don't have the same hair. No matter how hard I try, your hair will never, under any circumstances, be able to do what hers does. So when it came to that realization, I stopped looking at the girl and just admired it. You have beautiful hair, but not wanting it to be mine or even attempting to find someone to get it to look like that. It won't ever. So with your goals, please be realistic of what you are trying to reach. Now, I'm not saying give up. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying finding your strongest version, if it's for you, your skinniest version, whatever it is that your goal is not going to be the same as somebody else's. It's not going to be the same as mine. Your body type and the rate of metabolism, your genetics all plays into that. So just do the best you can and accept that as long as you're doing everything as well as you can, you might not be able to get every little bit of pound body fat off. And I get this question so often that's why I feel the need to address it, is understanding that even like your siblings, you might not look just like your sister, right? You guys metabolize food differently. So with that understanding, these numbers are mine. I'm 6 feet tall and I've been lifting for a long time. These numbers are years of work, right? And so don't compare your numbers of your maybe week 3 in the gym to what I've been doing for 3 years. But I want to share the exact numbers because it puts in perspective. So with this on here, and I'll show a screenshot of this. See that, buddy? Orange, don't look at that. Look at the yellow is my body fat. As you notice, it is only from the navel down. I carry my body fat from hips, like upper thigh and butt area. I literally have none above that. Like this scan tells you how much, and it breaks it down by here and up, just midsection. In the midsection, the fat that surrounds organs, just the outer layer of fat, and below. My genetics, it disappeared from my belly button up, like literally. Like I have less than a pound of fat. There's just none. I have 25 pounds of fat, pretty much from my navel beneath, right? I can't control that. I'm eating how I need to eat, and your genetics determine where you lose it first. You cannot spot reduce. So yes, would I like a lower body that matches my upper body? Yeah, my legs just don't look the same. They're not as defined. They're just not the same. It's genetics. So I do my best at adapting my workouts to change them because I do want to grow the muscle to match the muscle. But even more than that, not just the looks, I want it to be stronger so I can do stronger movements. So this scan is awesome because it literally shows you your areas where you hold body fat. And so on your stomach, you're able to see, oh, there's no yellow there. What I thought was body fat is bloating. Like there's a lot of really good things you can see off this scan. I don't use that as I must eliminate all yellow though. You need yellow. You need body fat. And that's what this other number shows I really like on here. So women need no less than 10% body fat. You have to have body fat. And it goes up to like what, 13 or 15% that you need. That's essential fat. You will wreak havoc on your system, lose your period, all kinds of hormonal issues if you go that low. So it's really important that you don't go beneath, I'd say 15%. My body personally, as I said, I have 25 pounds of body fat through my whole body. So when we work out how much that essential fat is, that is 19 pounds that I always have to have to function. So yeah, well, can you look at that number and say, oh, that's 25 pounds I've got to get rid of. I've got to eat less. I've got to run some more cardio. I want all the body fat off. You can't think that way because 19 of those pounds are essential for bare minimum. I have to have that. I want to have that because that makes me feel better. My body runs better. But with that said, that leaves 6 pounds then that's extra. And that's what's on my thighs and butt and whatever else. I'm not worried about that, right? We're doing the best we can. That's where I hold a little bit of extra. And it's at too great a cost for me to worry about eliminating every pound of fat. That's not my goal, right? So this is just good to give you an idea of how much you have, where a healthy range is. So sometimes we have an unrealistic expectation of how low we want to get. And it's really good to just see, no, for your body stats, this is the amount that you need. This is how much you have to have. And that will help kind of determine those goals and maybe hopefully set you straight if you happen to be off a little bit thinking, I've got to eliminate all of it. Because I have women that will say, hey, I've got fat here, here, here. Help me get rid of it. And I want to say, but that's that essential. Like you can't get rid of it everywhere. We need body fat. So we kind of have to come to terms with that. And that's a little bit of a relationship issue, right? Is we have these relationships with our body of thinking this or this or this is what we need when it's just interesting to find, okay, no, I need more than that. So then 115 of my body is my lean mass, and that's your muscle, your blood, your water, organs, all of that. So then we go to the abdomen area. You see your abdomen literally from like under your boobs down through your navel, and it gave me a number of how much body fat I have just on my stomach. And then also your visceral fat. Visceral fat is the only number that I like my clients to look at. It's an important number. I would pay for the scan just to know what your visceral fat number is because it impacts your health, your heart, like major serious problems. So if you have a high visceral fat number, that should be enough to get your butt like off the couch and moving and eating healthy as fast as you can because it leads to a lot of complications. So when I get a scan from someone, that's the first number I go to. You want to be as close to zero as you can. And that's kind of indicative of where your habits are, right? If you don't have the greatest of habits, that number is going to be higher, but that does make me nervous. And so with those, the clients, I'll say, I know it's going to be challenging. I will help you, but you've got to start making some changes because that number is in a very dangerous zone. Then you've got just the fat layer that lays on top of your stomach, and it will give you both of those numbers. So then we've got what I think is most interesting, and I want to share is your RMR. You hear RMR, BMR, right? So if I'm laying on my bed with zero movement for 24 hours, I'm just laying there. Your body needs a certain amount of calories to keep you alive, right? Otherwise, we die. Like if I was just left in my room by myself for who knows how long, because I'm not having food come in to give me calories for energy, I couldn't make it. So as I'm laying there, this scan tells me that I need 1424, 1400 calories just to survive. That is to keep my eyes blinking. That is to move my fingers. That is for me to swallow. That's for my heart to beat, my digestion, right? Every little thing burns calories. Just little twitches burn calories. And so it's important that you have at least enough calories for your body to sustain life, let alone additional movement, let alone exercise on top of that. So if you are cutting calories and starving, that's where it gets dangerous, because you're beneath that number that your body needs for survival. So it's important when you set your calorie numbers where you are. If you've been in a deficit, meaning you're underneath for a long periods of time, you're going to have problems. You don't want to be in a deficit longer than like 3 or 4 months, because your body can't sustain it. It needs nutrients, right? Food is good. You need, just like think of a car. To get point A to B, you have to have enough gas to get there. You can't go on fumes for very long. So mine is 1400. Then if I have introduced more movement, I'm not talking exercise. I'm talking I walk to the kitchen and open the fridge. I'm talking I go over to the toilet and I sit down. I go up the stairs to get to my bedroom. The daily, just your movement every day, that puts me up, because I'm about a slightly active physical level throughout the day. Again, no exercise we're talking about, but I'm at a computer quite often, but I do move around. It's a mixture of sitting and standing. This tells me then, in addition to that 1424, for my daily activity, I need 2136 calories a day to maintain. So to get all the calories I need for all that movement, not even including exercise, I need 2100 a day. So then from that 2100, if my goal was body fat loss, then I would drop that number down a couple hundred. And that's the number you don't want to stay at for very long. If I want to put on muscle though, you now see like I have to be close to 2136 or above 2136, because my body doesn't even have enough calories to blink and to move my lips and to digest, everywhere from the tongue pushing the food down to the lungs. The esophagus, everything that is involved in any part of the body's process, you have to have enough calories to make that work. It's not going to grow your muscles if it doesn't have enough food or energy to sustain life. So there are some really important things in wanting to understand, well, how much does your body need? And we're all very different. Do not base that number that I have off of what you need. So depending on how active we are, right? If you're doing tons of cardio, or the more steps you take, you would increase this activity level, which will give you more calories. So like there's a moderately active that would put me at 2400. That would be like maybe more like a waitress that's on her feet straight 8 hours, up and down, squatting with trays, super stressful, lots of movement. I don't move that much for 8 hours a day. So I don't need that many calories. If I ate that many calories, it would store it as body fat, because my body doesn't know what to do with excess. Your body only needs enough energy to sustain life, like we talked about, heart beating, breathing, blinking, all those things. You need enough for that, and then you need enough for your daily movement, and then you need a little bit more for your exercise. Anything past that, it doesn't know what to do with it. It doesn't have anywhere to put it. So we store it as body fat. And that's where a lot of complications come in with health, because we don't need all of that. Our body can't sustain it. So just like a car from point A to B, it only can take so much gas. If you keep filling in the gas, it's going to overflow. It'd be nice if that's what happened to our body, but we could just pee it out, right? We don't, we store it as body fat. So I get a lot of clients that will call and say, hey, like I said before, I'm eating so few calories, I'm running a ton. Why am I not seeing changes? Why am I not losing weight? Well, it's because it's going to hold on to your body fat, because it's in starvation mode. It doesn't know if more calories are coming in, because it's not even having enough to sustain life. And so you're going to hang on to it. So you're not going to see changes. So that's why we say get out of that deficit. You've been in it for too long, raise that back up and get to an area within those numbers that is healthy for you. And then you can kind of play with them again, depending on where you are. I like to keep people just a little bit under maintenance. So that number for me is 2136. I would put somebody 100 or 2 underneath that to lose a little bit of weight, but that still is enough, I have found, for me to grow a little bit of muscle too, as long as I'm nailing my protein every day. So I hope that this is helpful, just in having an understanding of the numbers and what your body needs to survive. And then more importantly, as you saw, we base our goals on those. So if you pull some arbitrary number like 1200 calories a day, because maybe someone online said that, or your friend is using that and you think that's what's good for you, you might not have enough to get yourself around every day. And then you're not going to lose body fat, because it doesn't even have enough to survive. So that is a big deal to think about. The rest of these, it shows you your, oh my gosh, everything about your bones, bone density, where you need to be. I thought that was important, because going forward, again, that's a health, like that's not just kind of like a superficial, what do I look like? But that's something that's really important for your health. Then it goes through the total body composition of each of your legs and arms. Side note, one of my legs is a whole pound heavier, and that is not body fat. It is either more blood or water or muscle or something. But I look at them, I'm like, they don't look like a pound difference. But it's interesting to see all the changes. And this is very accurate. So this is mine. I encourage you guys, if you have one in your area, to get one. I'll include the information here where I am in Utah. I've got a code that will save you the money. These are really affordable, guys, especially depending on how often you want to do them. I wish I would have done this at the beginning of my journey. And then that little picture to see the change is just neat. Because again, how we started, you're working your butt off. You want to see changes, whether that be strength gains, whether that's getting you back down to a healthy body fat number, right? You guys know I never talk about weight. Body fat is relative to each individual, and what is a lot to you or is a lot to me is very different. We have our own body, and we have a healthy version of body fat for our own body. So whatever your healthy version is where you want to get down to, because yes, an excess of body fat isn't great because that's what causes a lot of health problems. This will help us see where we are and what range we should be for our age and height and weight. Please don't compare yourself to anybody else. So I hope that this has been helpful. I encourage you to find one. If you don't have a Dexa scan, they do in-body scans also, which is another one. It looks like this. Gyms will have these. This gives you just a few of those numbers. They're not terribly accurate. The last one I got was actually way off, like way off. And that's what prompted me is like, oh, I need another Dexa scan. And this put me back in line where my numbers usually are. So just be cognizant that you're using a good tool, right, resource to be able to see what's actually happening in your body. But again, if it's something that you're super stressed about because that scale's not changing, you're very frustrated, these will prove to you if what you're doing is working. And then do them every month. I do like to do 2 months, right, because I see a bigger change. But every month you'll be able to tell, is what I'm doing working? If not, make changes. Sometimes we're afraid to make changes. Change the way you exercise. The more you run, the less likely you are to build muscle because you inhibit the muscle growth because you're burning so many calories. So now you understand that 1,400, and then you add up to 2,100. If I'm burning more and more calories by running more, I now am back down into that dangerous zone where my body's just staying alive. There's gonna be no extra calories to build that muscle. So you've gotta be cognizant of how many you're burning by all this extra cardio. Cardio is good, but mindful. Your priority should always be strength training and putting on muscle mass because that's going to change that body composition, get a little bit more the look that most people are asking for. But then in addition, it's just you want functional movement as you age to be able to move and support yourself, get up and off chairs and, have balance and feel stability if you get knocked over, just basic movements as we age. So focus on the right things. Hopefully this helps you come up with some realistic goals and where you could be. Don't compare yourself to others that aren't your body type. Find somebody that you admire because they're consistent and dedicated and they have maybe the right tools to teach you to then find your own version. Because again, you're not even gonna look like you were a few years ago. You're not that same person now. But we can find that best version, right? The healthiest, strongest version. I don't care if she's the skinniest or how much she weighs, but I do care that girl is happy and strong and healthy, right? These numbers will help you kind of gauge that. So hopefully it's helpful. I'll leave all the information after this.